Welcome back, friends. Today I'm going to repaint this oil painting here onto a greeting card. These make great gifts. I send them to my clients and to my friends, and it's easy, it's fast, and it's a great way for us to practice our painting skills every day. So let's begin. I'll just speed this up for you just a little bit here. We'll just start by covering the canvas with a little bit of white. There's a Russian oil painter. His name is Igor Sakharov. And he uses his fingers and his hands in a lot of his paintings. I've even seen him use the side of his palm on some larger pieces. And we're going to put a little bit of a tiny bit of blue. See how that blends? And maybe just a hair of maybe a little alizarin crimson. See how that has a nice blend to it, almost like a watercolor. And maybe a little bit of just a little warmer red. And we're going to start to put a little yellow in there very quickly. I'm going to get this kind of a real dawn-like looking color, and a little bit of a mixture of Payne's gray and alizarin crimson makes kind of a nice gray. Just kind of gray that down just a little bit. And a little bit more red in there. Maybe that's a little too yellow. And just kind of let them marble together. I'll just speed this up for you just a little bit here. This method of doing an underpainting like this, make sure that we get good coverage, but yet it's thin enough so we can put paint over the top of it. If we get the underpainting too thick, then painting over the top of it is next to impossible unless we let the painting dry first, and of course that would defeat our purpose. And of course the snow always reflects the color of the sky, so we want some of those colors in there. Maybe just a little cooler, and we'll mix those in there. And now let's put some of these distant trees in. Again, this is just a mixture of alizarin crimson and Payne's gray. Makes a nice kind of a violet color. And again, this is not a color that we want to be really hard edges. We want the soft edges, because the trees in the distance, we want to have them blurred out. And again, we just keep them looking like they're off in the distance. There we go. Things in the distance should be much lighter and blurrier than compared to things in the foreground. Okay, now let's just take a brush and we'll put this same mixture of alizarin crimson and Payne's gray, nice violet color. And we want to start with some detail, but not a whole lot. And when we draw trees, We don't want them to be real sharp edges on the trees. We just want them to kind of suggest a tree a little bit, and we'll get a little more detail, but we just want to block it out first, and obviously we're painting wet on wet here. So, we'll just get the idea first, where we might want to go with this. But we don't want to put too much detail at first. Just an idea. If we don't like it, we can change it. Now the trees off in the distance, again, don't want to be they don't want to be the same consistency and darkness as the trees up front. Real rough edges on trees denotes a bark-like surface. Compared to like a smooth edge on the trees, almost makes it look like an illustration. Now as the brush gets a little bit of less paint on it, of course it's going to have that dry brush effect, even though this is wet into wet. Just a little light touch here and there will give us that dry brush effect. So again, less paint on the brush and lightly on the canvas gives us that dry brush look. Okay, now you just take a brush with a bristle, stiff bristles on it, pretty much, and we put it in that same Payne's Gray mixture, Alizarin Crimson Payne's Gray, but we just we want it to be a really rough brush, and then we just want to tap it. Don't press hard. Little taps here and there. Kind of give it that, again, that dry brush look. And we want to have this even back in here where these branches are. Remember, we're doing this over wet paint. So just little light taps is all you need. So give us a little bit more appearance of branches, but yet not trying to paint individual branches. This exercise is great practice. It's a great tool for practicing that results in a great gift idea. We don't have to be trying to make a masterpiece. We're just practicing expressive strokes here. Now let's take some of this lighter. We're going to mix a little white in with this violet color mixture, make it a little lighter. Oh, we'll put just a little bit of details on the trees with a palette knife. Just a little touch here. Detail is not what we're trying to achieve here. It's simplicity and speed. Now we're going to take this rigger brush again. And this time we want it a fair amount of thinner in the brush. For doing these branches, we don't want to be too careful. We just want to hit them quickly. And if we try to be too careful, it'll show. It won't look as free, and we want that to have just a nice freeness to it. Again, we're painting over wet paint. So maybe just leave the mistakes in there. Now, let's just put some highlights on the snow, maybe just a hair. And with these, we don't want to, again, make it look too labored. Just a couple quick, fast strokes. Again, this just gives us that look of freedom, expression. Just a little quick wipe here and there. It gives us that look of confidence. A little bit of a lighter color towards the top of the snow. There and there. And let's see, let's take a little of this blue and just put some shading along this distant bank. Maybe a tiny bit here. coming from the very water's edge. Maybe a little blue in here, just to give it some balance. And just a couple little real darks. Just a couple. Maybe we need some real darks right along one side of the tree. Just touch here and there. And maybe a little here. Little touch there. And again, since we're working on wet paint, the more you work it, the more it blends in with the other colors, and so you lose your intensity. Just a couple little taps here and there, and maybe just a hair more of suggested branches up in the trees. And again, we're going to do that with this bristly brush and just tapping. Just tapping here and there. All right, that'll be done. It'll be dry 24 hours. I'll emboss it with a little embossing stamp, and it'll be ready to just go out. I'll let it dry. I just, in this one, I use a pen for the signature, just to make the signature kind of clear. And we'll just have another card to give to your friends. Hope you enjoyed this. We'll see you on the next one.